internet travelers. Thanks for stopping by my channel. I really appreciate it. As you can see, I'm experimenting with different visual styles, and I hope you like this one. Today, we're going to look at the formation and spreading of a lie among fandom spaces on YouTube, specifically among the fandom channels that I like to call the pack-leds. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know who I'm talking about. Nerdrotic, The Critical Drinker, Disparu, Shadiversity, etc., etc., etc. And the lie we're going to look at today is one that I've seen told in my own comment sections. The lie is that Jennifer Salke of MGM, or of Amazon MGM Studios, was fired. And presumably, in many cases, it apparently has something to do with the rings of power. So what I'm going to do is just take a few minutes to scroll through some of the videos that are being circulated about this that popped up over the last week or so. And then we're going to go straight to the original reporting on this story and see how it tells a story that is the exact opposite of what the pack-led channels are trying to sell you. So let's take a little journey here. Okay, what we see here is a little search I did for Jennifer Salke fired. And I'm going to scroll down some of these videos here and we'll see who is saying what. The one at the very top is The Critical Drinker, Jennifer Salke fired, Amazon's Kathleen Kennedy and her legacy of failure. This is followed by my old sparring buddy Disparu, who's still putting out dumb takes like Jennifer Salke fired by Amazon, justice for Rings of Power and James Bond. Then we have Mr. Brown Alliance, I don't know who that is. Then we have, oh look, it's Nerdrotic. Big Trouble in Middle-earth, Jennifer Salke exits Amazon MGM Studios, now fire the rest. And we can keep scrolling. I don't know who Tachyon Pulse Podcast is. I don't know who the Angry Badger is. They seem pretty irrelevant. I don't know who Crumbling Fantasies is. I don't know who the Common Nerds are. I don't know the Salty Nerd Podcast. I don't know Culture Casino. I don't know Lord Botha. But you can see the pattern developing here, right? Lots and lots of supposed fan channels spreading the news that Jennifer Salke has been fired from Amazon. And it's prominently mentioned in connection with Rings of Power. The comment I had in one of my own comment sections told me that it's being reported Jennifer Salke was fired because of Rings of Power's failure. So let's see what actually happened. Okay, right now I'm looking at an article from Deadline, which is the article that broke the news that as the headline says, Jennifer Salke steps down as head of Amazon MGM Studios, segues to producing with a first look deal. Now, right away, we have a red flag here. Segueing to producing with a first look deal is not being fired. So why does everyone think she was fired? Well, let's dive into the article and see what we can find out. The article reads, in a surprise move, Jennifer Salke is stepping down as head of Amazon MGM Studios after 7 years. The news was just shared internally by Prime Video and Amazon MGM Studios head Mike Hopkins in a memo, which you can read below. And believe me, we are going to read the whole memo. Salke is segueing to a first-look film and TV producing deal with the studio. Doesn't sound like she was fired to me. She will not be replaced, with the head of the studio role eliminated in a streamlined new structure. So, maybe these pack-led channels read the phrase, she will not be replaced? I don't know. Let's see what Mike Hopkins, head of Amazon Prime Studios, has to say. Quote, we've decided to flatten our leadership structure a bit, Hopkins said, with head of TV Vernon Sanders and head of film streaming and theatrical Courtney Valente now reporting to him. We felt this was the best direction for our studio, which will now operate as distinct film and television studios, Hopkins said. Sue Kroll also will continue in her role as head of global marketing across both film and TV. In other words, Amazon decided to split feature films and television into separate divisions of their studio, and that eliminated the need for the role that Salke was filling. But was this done because it's a sly way to get rid of her? Let's keep reading and find out. More restructuring will follow, with the chain of command for multiple other executives who reported to Salke up in the air. Quote, "We will be taking a couple of weeks to have thoughtful conversations with Jen's directs and others to finalize the ideal long-term structure for the Amazon MGM Studios organization as a whole, and we'll have more to share on that work soon," Hopkins said. Okay, so far I'm not seeing anything about the Rings of Power being a failure, and I'm not really seeing anything about Salke being fired or people being mad at her for some reason. Former NBC Entertainment president Salke took the reins of then Amazon Studios in 2018 after a lengthy, very public search in which some of the top female TV executives in the business were considered. Ooh, DEI. Ooh. On the TV side, pay attention to this part, folks. On the TV side, she spearheaded the buildup of a slate with broad appeal following Prime Video's early days of a largely niche player with shows including Alphas, Mozart in the Jungle, and Transparent. That included such series as The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Jack Ryan, The Boys, Fallout, Reacher, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Cross, and Beast Games, as well as Emmy winners like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and Fleabag. So, notice what was said there. She built up a slate with broad appeal, and that includes series such as The Rings of Power. Now, there have been bumps, the article continues. A lot has been written about the high cost of world-building dramas, like The Rings of Power, the deal for which was made before she started at Amazon, and the Russo's Citadel, with their performance heavily scrutinized. Now, with their performance heavily scrutinized is very vague, and it's doing a lot of heavy lifting here, especially on the PAC-led channels. They take this to mean that Rings of Power is considered a failure just because it was heavily scrutinized. But why wouldn't it be heavily scrutinized? It's the most expensive television show ever made. They want to make sure they're getting their money's worth. And also, note that this doesn't say who's doing the scrutinizing. This, I think, is a reference more to what was going on in the media that covers Amazon and the Rings of Power than it has to do with the show itself. So here is the memo. Again, this is from the new head of Amazon MGM Studios, Mike Hopkins. And this is an internal memo. So this is what they told their own employees about what was happening. Dear team, since joining Amazon in 2018, Jen Salke has been a driving force in Amazon MGM Studios' evolution into what it is today, a world-class producer of award-winning films and TV series viewed by hundreds of millions of our customers around the world. Original films and series served as the foundation of Prime Video's growth into one of the world's leading entertainment destinations, and Jen's leadership is an undisputed driver of the success we've had in this space over the years. Having accomplished so much as an executive, Jen has decided that her next challenge and chapter will be on the production side, with the aim of getting even closer to the global creative community, which she's been such a vital member of over the course of her career. As a result, Jen will step down from her role as head of Amazon MGM Studios in order to start a new production entity, and we're so pleased that she'll continue to make her home right here on our lot via an overall first look deal across both film and TV. Now, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, when you fire someone, do you let them keep hanging out on the premises and working there? I don't think you do. This is not the description of someone being fired. And then we have Jen's words, saying thank you, etc. And here's the bit we really need to pay attention to that really exposes the lie that the PAC-led channels are crafting around this. After Jen says her words here about, thanks for supporting me and giving me the opportunity. I'm proud of what I did, etc. Mike Hopkins takes up again and says, I'm going to highlight this here. I can't say enough to express my thanks to Jen for her partnership. Starting with my personal day one in 2020, her vision, creativity, and industry relationships were and are so apparent that I had no doubt our work together could be transformative, not only to Amazon, but also to the industry as a whole. The Rings of Power, Fallout, Reacher, Red One, Maxton Hall, The Idea of You, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Saltburn, Roadhouse, Beast Games, Culpa Mia / Tuya, and others speak to the hits. Speak to the hits under her leadership that have stirred cultural conversation and delivered incredible storytelling to worldwide audiences. And that list covers only the past 18 months. So I'm gonna shorten that a little bit, right? I'm gonna cut out the superfluous words to focus on the Rings of Power, because that's what so many of these channels are focusing on themselves. Starting with my personal day one, her vision, creativity, and industry relationships were apparent that I had no doubt our work together could be transformative not only to Amazon, but also to the industry as a whole. The Rings of Power speaks to the hits under her leadership that have stirred cultural conversation and delivered incredible storytelling to worldwide audiences. So, how do channels like the ones I just showed you read this article, which is about Jennifer Salke transitioning to producing films with a first look deal for Amazon, working on the Amazon Studios lot, and describing, and the studio praising her for creating a hit television show called The Rings of Power that has stirred cultural conversation worldwide? How do those channels read this article and conclude that Jennifer Salke was fired because The Rings of Power was a failure? The answer, my friends, is that they didn't. They started with that conclusion and then they just tortured the evidence until it confessed. In other words, they are lying to you. And because a lot of their fans keep turning up in my comments section and trying to play gotcha with me and dropping links to people like Clownfish TV or The Broken Sword or any of the bigger names that we just saw, as if that proves something. And then I tell those people in my comments section, hey, why don't you go to the source and see what the actual original article says? It's just frustrating, folks. If you are someone who gets your entertainment news and gets your entertainment opinions from Nerdrotic, Critical Drinker, Geeks and Gamers, Disparu, Shadiversity, etc., the Packleds who have blasphemously called themselves the Fellowship, if you get your news and opinions from them, I can't help you except to tell you that they are lying to you. And if you refuse to accept that, you have simply been successfully propagandized to. I'll leave it there. If you like this kind of content, be sure to give me a thumbs up, hit the bell for notifications, do all the other algorithmic things, and until next time, remember that what's best in life is to crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and engage in discourse with the women. Thanks for watching.